Cool. All right, guys. So good evening. Thank you for joining. And this is Akash Sharma. And thank you, Skill High, for kind of giving me an opportunity to talk to you guys. I can see there's a lot of people, and obviously there's a lot of interest in career in machine learning and data science. The content of this slide is structured in a very simple way. There's no deep technical discussions, nothing at all which can deter you from understanding data science and should not lead you into thinking that you will not be able to do it. Uh, and I would just want to start by talking about something that today is kind of a good day, right? And that's personally because I have today is when I started my career like 10 years back. So I really like the fact that I'm able to give back to you guys and share my experience as to how I started as a student uh, from 2007 to 11 and then slowly moved my way into IT industry. I know a lot of people who are not from the same department as computer science. They are into mechanical, electrical, people who have actually have experienced 3, 4 years and then still change their careers. And some people even way much more than that. So that's probably something I will start with, giving you a positive message and making sure you guys understand that data science is not uh, something that you cannot do at all. And with that, I'll just start with the slides. This is a little bit about me. You can see me, that's my picture. I'm an architect. An architect is somebody who kind of designs the whole system. So I've been responsible in my career for different roles. Currently, I'm AI platform architect at DAO-centric. You can check out my LinkedIn. You can check out the links that I have. My name is just Akash Sharma, and you can search me on LinkedIn. If you have questions that you would want to ask me later, please happily reach out. There's my YouTube channel and there's my blog. Please do go and check it out and let me know if you want to communicate or just interact with me. Uh, Feel free to also use the chat so that we can always kind of understand your questions in a better way. And I'll be able to answer that as I go along or probably as something that a- as we go along. That's could be just it. Just give me a second, guys. I'm trying to do something. Is my voice audible to you, everyone?
Yes, yes, Akash, it's audible.
Okay. This seems a little interesting. This. All right. Fair enough. Cool. So I'll move on to the slides. The first thing that I want to start with is talking about this is now actually AI, which is included in CBSE's curriculum. So what Government of India has done very recently is started teaching AI in schools much before you start realizing that it's important. And a lot of it is just understanding that there is a lot of value and scope with AI so that India could just be better. And because of that, you have a lot of programming courses introduced in 11th, 12th standard so that people who are starting with their career, starting to think of this as a career, they have that option very early ahead. So as a country, as a uh, probably one of the countries where technology is one of the key drivers, it's significantly important, and you can see from that from the policies. Now, getting into some details about the core of the topics, right? I'm predominantly going to enter the discussion about uh, the careers aspects of AI. However, before we go there, we'll just want to make sure I talk a little bit about what is that makes AI so good, or was what is it different that we are doing there than traditional computer science and traditional problem solving. So this is typically how human beings think, right? This is typically just how any person would operate. There's a question given, and then you'll kind of think and you'll come up with an answer, right? On the contrary, computers think in a different way, right? There's an input that you provide to a computer, and then they'll process and then they'll give you an output. AI is very different. the way AI behaves, if I just go back to my previous slide, is AI doesn't have a fixed output. It says that you give me a lot of inputs and outputs, and I'll try and understand the relationship with them. So, in a way, it is trying to give you an alternate way of thinking. It's giving you a way of understanding and working with data. That's just a prelude to understanding any AI, and we all utilize it around, right? Google Now, Alexa, and Siri is probably one of the closest things that you guys have. Everybody is either having a cell phone or a smart gadget in their home, smart home device like Alexa or Google Hub or anything like that. And all of these devices are effectively AI enabled. These are specialized use cases, which is traditionally called AI on the edge or just AI on device, and you're inferencing, you are actually utilizing. There's a lot more that goes on with AI, and we'll talk about how that works and some of the details about how AI systems work and behave. And again, this should be the precursor to understanding what and how AI kind of behaves, and maybe even how is it utilized. If you just use any of these services, you probably know that it's not just one single service. It's, for example, Google Now. It can read your emails for flight ticket. It can tell you maps. It can tell you reminders. It can hear your voices and translate it into actions. It can interact with other apps and get responses. It can predict the weather. It can give you music recommendations. So at the end of the day, Google Now or Siri or Alexa is just an interface. But what you're doing is using a voice to interact with a whole larger world, larger ecosystem in that sense. And that specifically is just a very simple example of an NLP based system, right? A natural language processing or a signal processing system, which is just further extending the human communication boundaries to beyond that app or beyond the scope of just that function. So that's how AI is influencing you. You're utilizing it by far and large. However, there could be specialized skill sets that you need, and how do we go about building them, and what are the very key things you could do as a student this early in your career is what we are going to be talking about, right? So that's where we are. Now let's take a pause and take a look at these images, right? Most of these images are picked off Google Internet, something that should definitely not be new for you guys. And at the same time, the narrative that I bring could probably give you some understanding, right? So there's a lot of buzz around the world, word data science, deep learning, machine learning, and all of these are just exchanged. A lot of students will ask that, do I need to be expert at maths to understand data science and machine learning? Do I need to be computer science person? Do I need to have business knowledge? And the answer is yes to most of them, but at the same time, it is not something that you need to be amazingly deeply aware about. Obviously, to if you want to specialize into one of those areas, you will need to get deeper. But to begin with, I don't think any of these are inhibitors at all. So I would just take a second and take a moment and ask all of you or any of you, if you have a question that pops up to your mind that you have seen this image or you want to ask, put that in the chat. Or I don't know how are questions sent, Akshay, to people.
Yes, they can ask in the chat option or they can raise their hand so that we can unmute them and they can just speak for a second.
Okay, all right. I see there are some poll questions that has happened. So can you kind of send them? I
Yes,
can
we can
see.
start the poll questions. They can answer. So the first question we have is, have you started exploring machine learning before?
Yeah, so maybe you can just send the poll question. That seems
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
So guys, the question has been displayed on your screen. You can just answer the question.
Yeah, just take a moment to kind of answer this. Wow, this is good, and we'll wait for till most of you have joined, and I want to see a good mix of it so that I tune my narrative accordingly.
So yeah, there are around 26 of them. Like no, I am absolutely beginner. The five of them are yes, I have intermediate knowledge.
Yeah, and I can see that there's a lot of inclination, mostly like about 80-85%. Okay, this represents a good sample. So
Yeah.
about 80+% of people are absolute beginners. All right, so I hope that the narrative which I was giving before is giving you an idea what machine learning is and what it is about. So if you're an absolute beginner, the first thing I want you to do is think about this slide. What is machine learning? It is the utilization, or it is those systems, those softwares, like you are using Zoom now. These are all softwares, right? These softwares are machine learning software. So if you're an absolute beginner, that's where you start. You just gain an understanding by looking at your world and thinking, where am I using AI? That could give you a primary first-hand thought about AI. That could help you formulate an opinion that where on all AI is used. Just try and question your world and you will gain an understanding. Even Microsoft PowerPoint these days, if you put an image, it will give you an automatic caption. That's AI. Netflix, if you are using Netflix, Prime, or any of these services, right? You must be kind of getting recommendations. That's AI. Okay, I see Yash Goyal has kind of raised his hand. Just realized that. Yash, do you have a question? Okay. Oh, it managed. Never mind. Right. So this is how you can go and think about it, right? This is all around you. And what we are going to be talking about is just how you could just go and build a career into it, whatever year you are in. All right. So just let's look back to some definitions. Let's start with the first one, which says what is artificial intelligence? AI, or artificial intelligence for full, is a set of techniques, a concept, an idea, an ideology, which enables machines to mimic human behavior. Now, the idea with this key aspect is that when you have machines mimicking human behavior, what are we talking about? Are we talking about robotics, or are we talking about normal softwares? How is Siri a machine? The answer to that is all of that is true. AI is applied as softwares. It is applied in robotics. It's applied in medical sciences. So it's just the idea is you can mimic human behavior to some extent, or you can give a sense of cognitive ability to a machine. It might not be perfect. It might not be absolute human-like. However, that's what is AI. And there can be more better definitions or more formal definitions. It's just this image as this definition. The next question that we can try and answer is what is machine learning, right? And why is it a subset? Machine learning very specifically is a technique or a set of AI techniques, algorithms, uh, which just uses statistical methods. And what I mean by statistical methods is you have techniques like regression, decision trees, and things like that. So these kind of techniques are largely classified by under machine learning, and these are what can be termed as classical techniques also, because they have very deep, they're very deeply rooted in maths and statistics. And third is deep learning, which is more of using neural network and those techniques to kind of solve problems. They are deep neural networks, usually CNNs, RNNs, those kind of things, if you have heard about. Deep learning is a further subset. Now, uh, when I see students or when I interview people in colleges, I have noticed that a lot of them, they just start here. They'll just go and learn about some kind of a CNN or an RNN, and they'll probably that's what they formulate an opinion is AI, and that's how what is used everywhere. I would deter you, or I would challenge you to go more fundamental, not deter you most certainly, but challenge you to go more fundamental level and try and gain more deeper understanding of the AI as a subject. So that's a couple of definitions. look at the left hand side, but just a second, there's a question. So Rahul has asked a question is how is ML different from ML ops? Uh, Rahul, they are machine learning is a set of AI techniques. Machine learning, when we say usually, when we largely or generally say machine learning, what we imply or understand is that there are a set of algorithms, there's some data, there is a way to kind of build the AI, the core of it, the algorithmic part of it. That's traditionally what is thought to be machine learning. The definition can be more fine. ML ops, on the other hand, is the system side of it, the engineering side of it, the deployment side of it. For instance, you have made an algorithm. What do you do about it? How do you run it to actually solve a problem? For example, Siri, right? If you would have noticed, if some of you are Apple fans here, this year, a lot of functionalities that Siri is doing is offline. It's just on the device. So there's a model, there's an understanding that Apple engineers have made, right? Now the ML part of it could be the core model, the machine learning NLP model. The ops part of it is the deployment and making sure it runs on the end. So that's largely the difference. At a technology front, they are probably having two very distinct spectrums. And if I talk about skills, data science, ML is something you would associate with a data scientist, traditional one who has deep understanding of building models. The tips of the tools currently would be Python, R, Skykit, and those kind of stuff. MLOps would be more cloud deployment, container, Docker, and things like that. Those are the two areas or branches that are just popping up these days. And we'll talk about the whole life cycle of an ML application towards the end of it also. Please keep pushing your questions to chat. I'll find suitable time and just keep answering them because assuming the fact that most of your students questions are the best ways to clarify anything. Don't worry about how good or bad that is. All right. Now moving on to the left hand side. Now this is a kind of a diagram. This is a traditional overlapping Venn diagram kind of a thing. And this talks about a couple of things. It says that there's computer science, there's maths and statistics, there's domain and business knowledge. And at the convergence of all of them is what data science is. That's what you could probably think of. Now, does this imply that you need to be an expert in any? Most likely, no. There are branches in which you can go. Data science is a significantly large word these days. Uh, Quite hard to actually quantify into one single role. There are multiple roles, and again, we'll look at that too in a while. So that's just starting with some notions, some ideas, and some definitions. We'll then look about some skills now. Right. And when we talk about skills, the first is fundamentals of math, statistics, and probability, right? As the previous slide mentioned, maths and statistics. Now, in order to get an entry into AI, a good understanding of math, statistics, and probability can help. Now, this does not imply that you need to. Okay, Rahul has one more question. I'll answer this, Rahul, in a while. So, uh, math, statistics, and probability is something that is very foundational and a bedrock to data science, again, machine learning, and all. However, there are two approaches to learning. You need not master mathematics, statistics, and probability and then learn the algorithm side of it. The two styles are, and both are equally right. It's not that one of them is preferred or better over the other. It's just person specific. Some people learn better by doing and applying. So you could just follow an approach where you are solving problems. And then when you have gotten an understanding that, hey, all right, this is how and what linear regression is used and not used, then you could just go back and understand the way it works. Some people would probably want to understand the how it works and what are the inner details first, and then they'll go on to Both are equally well, but I highly recommend that you pay very strong attention to these areas because they are kind of bedrock to gaining a solid and a deep understanding of data science. If you don't follow that, if you don't have that, what might happen is you will just become somebody like a theater or more of a, it will just be a show and you wouldn't have a lot of deeper understanding of things. So it's a good idea to start with this, and obviously being students, you have very great and brilliant access to a lot of these stuff in your college and even otherwise. Most of the stuff that you need is uh, very foundational. I would, if I have to say topics, I will say in maths, you need to probably understand a bit of equations, a little bit of geometry or coordinate geometry is helpful. Linear algebra is helpful. You could have an understanding of a little bit of trigonometry that could also help come in handy. A bit of calculus, differential, integral, differential equation, all that you need probably at a 12th standard level, that's good enough. For statistics, it's again a more foundational understanding of statistics, and probability is kind of a different one. Distributions, theorems, p-values, probability distributions, central tendency techniques. Just these are the some of the topics that could just help build on it. And if you just have a good foundation and a reference, it as a career, as a student, it will really come in handy when you are giving interviews or when you are sitting for placements and all of that. A very simple tip which I like to recommend to students is create a notebook, get into the habit of building a notebook for yourself where you could start putting summarized version of concepts, things like a one pager of what is central limit theorem, what is it applied for. This way, when you are actually rehearsing a couple of years later, you can always go back and refer them. It's a very easy thing to think about. Yeah, this is a common tip, but if you start following it, it would really be helpful for you. Second thing is probably which a lot of people are afraid of for some weird reason. But it's actually a very straightforward thing. It's not a difficult thing at all. It might have been made difficult in college, but it is not difficult. It's a very simple understanding of programming. Programming does not imply that you got to become the best coders and you are going to write operating systems. It is a basic ability to write logical structures. For example, you could simply practice very simple problems like prime numbers, factorials, division, logical stats, logical inferencing. That's what is programming all about, how you represent your ideas into code. A
So,
lot of tutorials there, internet is full of them. I will not get into any language related wars. Even though,
Others,
yep.
yes, we have a poll question regarding the programming. So the question is, how many of you are aware of Python? Because there are a lot of other department students, I
let's
think so.
let's go on and put that. Thank
Yes.
you for interrupting. Go on.
So guys, you can find a question on your screen. Just answer it first. We can come to know like how many of you are actually completed the Python part.
And let's see as please try to answer as many people as you can. Okay.
So 24 and the count is rising. 25 are beginners, 7 of them are from intermediate, and 2 are advanced in Python. Yeah.
So a general idea that I am getting is close to 50% of you are aware of Python.
Yes.
So I'll just take into consideration the rest 40% and then talk about it. So here's the current world about it, and I'll give a little bit of history too. Programming in most of the colleges, it starts with C. It is still foundational to me after 10 years too. It's important that you have a basic understanding of the language C. It gives you the idea of how to think of logic in the sense of a code. And that's all programming is really. Python is just another language, much, much, much easier to learn. It's almost English like. If you want to print something, just say print. If you want to add something, do an add. If you want to, it's very intuitive. So anybody who is not aware of the language as such, that is not at all a challenge. If you also, for some reason, are finding difficulty with Python, you can always start with R, which is more of a much, much, even more simpler than Python because R is more driven towards this statistics operation, so it will enable a lot of AI related stuff. Hey Yash, hi, I see you pinging. Don't call me sir, call me Akash. Just shoot your question directly, please. I'm keeping a watch on chat. I have seen some questions. Just put the question that you want to ask very clearly. Cool. So that's what is programming about. And again, if you think about it, why am I so much emphasizing on logic building? It is because of the fact that machine learning is like teaching the machine how to understand something. And to make a machine understand anything, you kind of need to give it instructions. These instructions are in the form of code. So you don't need a big, like a amazing. You need to be a great programmer. It's a good idea to be a great programmer. I'm not saying that, but I'm just suggesting that you can start with a very simple set of constructs like Python and R. And if you like any other language for that matter, if you're into Java or Scala or Kotlin or Android, almost all languages have a way of getting into AI. All you need to do is just Google. And we'll talk a little bit about the paths and all of that very soon. Now let's look at convergence of these things. Uh, okay, before
Akash,
we
there
go to
is
that,
a question actually from a
yeah,
student.
yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to answer.
Yeah,
So there are a few questions for me directly, and then I am not sure if there's a general question also. So the first question was right now data science is trending job. Will it be trending as well after 5 years? There are two parts to this answer, Rahul, and there's a large degree of uncertainty with that. I started my I would not say I'm not a data scientist per se, but I started getting into AI in somewhere around 2016. At that time, it was starting. It's still relevant after 5 years. In fact, it has picked much more after 5 years. Will it be relevant after 5 years? If you ask me, absolutely. Because a lot of larger industry trends, a lot of trends towards AI as a subject is now becoming much more detailed. Like ML Ops is created in the past 1.5 years. There's data governance coming up. There's a lot of branches coming up, and a lot of people are getting hired in very senior position. So, as a strategic wish, it would be a trend or much more detailed as a subject. Obviously, there'll be peaks and downs, and there'll be new technologies, but AI would definitely survive. At the same time, can I say what will happen in the industry after 5 years? Absolutely not. Nobody knew COVID is going to come, right? It's very difficult to say anything with a certainty. However, I have high confidence that if things are the way they are right now, AI will be much more important than the way it is right now. Yash has asked about two questions. First is AI in human resource. So AI in HR teams are also very popular. In fact, a lot of systems that I am aware of, recruitment is big time consumer of AI because the number of CVs that are getting generated and CV filtering is a big problem in general in recruit in human resources. So AI is used there. Salary benchmarking, comparison, predictions, AI is used. Evaluating how employees are performing, AI is used there. So AI has a lot of use cases in human resources. And the second part of the question is Python in data structure in use in ML. I don't understand this question, but if you're asking me, are data structures used in ML? Yes, they are. Data structures are something that will be used everywhere. If you are programming, if you're into software development, there's no part of software development where data structures will not be used or should not be used. I mean, you can live without them by sticking to primitive data types, but almost nobody will do that. Oops, yeah, oops concepts are also very relevant. They help you write good code, but at the same time, I would suggest you guys understand about lots of different programming paradigms like structural programming, procedural programming. Oops is just one style of programming. It is the most popular one, agreed, but don't be restricted to oops if you're starting with programming. How to get hired as a data scientist in top MNCs? Okay, I'll take this in the end, Rahul. There's probably a couple of tips that I have mentioned. Uh, is there any other question, Ashish? Sorry, Ayush?
There is a question from Saima saying that how can I go for a career in machine learning after BSc
Okay, after
mathematics?
BSc Mathematics, so you can, Saima, absolutely go for a career in ML after BSc Mathematics. In fact, you have already have a good fundamental understanding of mathematics and probably statistics also. All you need to do is pick up a course in Python or pick a decent course. You can enroll in one of the structured learning providers like these guys, Skill High, or you could just look for free courses on YouTube. You could read it completely independently of books. The way to get into a career is probably has something to do with the next couple of slides that I'm going to talk about, how to build a portfolio and all. That's the next few slides. But as a beginning point, I would highly suggest you get into a career in after BSc Maths, because one of the things I am have been thinking about for long is after doing a BTech in computer science is getting a master's in mathematics. Uh, Strong understanding and deep understanding of mathematics can really help you. All right. NLP, AI, DL. Yes, I don't see a question. You have
Yes,
mentioned
I
some
think
friends,
we can
but
proceed forward. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, we can proceed forward. I do not have any questions right now. Yep.
No, I was saying Yash Goyal has sent a question directly. Guys, I would suggest you mark everyone in the meeting for question. So yeah, Yash is asking NLP, AI, DL, ML use cases in. Just put it for everyone, right? Just formulate your question for everyone and send it to everyone. I'll talk about this towards the end too. Cool. So just moving a little bit forward. Now the idea is that we have looked at two concepts, right? I wanted to talk about the convergence. So the way this behaves or the way this works is you have maths and stats, you have programming and databases, and you have domain knowledge. Now this is where data science plays, right? This is part of it. So people who have studied maths and no programming, they can probably be about machine learning. If there's maths and domain knowledge, you could also get into deeper areas like optimization and operational research, which is more of decision sciences. And there could be a lot of AI. So this good convergence across all. But now let's move on from foundational stuff more so towards building the portfolio. And I'll just take one question that Yash asked. So you said ML use cases in NLP, AI, DL. Okay, DL is and AI are larger areas. They are concepts. They are not something that you code. NLP is something you code around, and if you want to understand NLP use cases, just take your phone and talk to Siri or Google now. That's an NLP use case. NLP is kind of a further branch of, or I would not say branch, but most of the NLP techniques, and I say most, not all, uh, at least the modern ones and the larger ones come from deep learning techniques like RNNs and LSTMs and things like that. So you could have NLP, which can utilize deep learning as a technique, which will help you build an AI solution. Additionally, yes, something I would highly recommend that please do formulate your questions in a complete way that will give you clarity as to what you're trying to understand too. All right. That's what we are. Hey, what? Just what's the last question? How many of you are with me? What's that question?
Yes, so we just wanted to know their presence, like it that
Oh,
yeah, that board will be suddenly pop up.
okay, okay, all right, good, 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 good. All right. Now we are going to be talking about building a portfolio, which is what is something towards as a direction as to how could you get a career or how could you get hired. So, as a fresher or as somebody who's starting, or even as an experienced person, it's very important to have a portfolio. Portfolio is like an extension of your resume. It talks about what you have done actually, instead of just English speaking about it, right? This is what you can use to drive interviews, not get shortlisted. Shortlisted will be still your CV, but this is what can help you drive interviews. This is what can help you get an understanding of a lot of these things, this area, right? So the way to go about is you start here, right? You start here. You think of a question and find the data set related to it. Okay. Or sometimes what happens is you could have a data set and go for question. This is the Kaggle route for most of the people who are not aware. Kaggle is a website which holds data science competitions. It's a great place for finding free data sets and also just learning with other people and competing and just peer learning. So you could go either ways. If you are somebody who already has a question, try and finding data sets. For example, one of the simple questions was that how many of you are aware of Python? So we just created a poll and now we have a data set, right? Where 37 people have marked that they either know Python at a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. The rest of the people, I will just assume that they don't know Python or they have never heard about it. So that's one way to find or create data set. Alternatively, if you have a data set, just go and formulate multiple questions and you could solve problems there. Then comes the analysis part. Try to answer the questions with the data, right? Think about what are the ways in which you can answer questions. So one of the very recent morbid problems is COVID prediction and how things are going, right? You could just go ahead and pick the data from COVID website and try and understand how the trend would look like. Uh, if you think in a very simple way, even the graph is giving you a direction of where the things are moving, right? If the graph is downwards, you'll probably assume that the next day is going to have a downward trend. Or if the graph is just like this, you for the past few days, you'll assume that it's going forward. What you're doing is you're applying your intelligence. What needs to happen to learn and build to learn AI and build a portfolio is you need to apply this intelligence on data through code. And once you have that, try and have a blog about it so that you can document your learnings. Also have the code base in a part of GitHub repository. So these two things could definitely help you about going and creating a portfolio. I'll just give a quick example about how GitHub and what are the things, because a lot of people are just not aware of what GitHub is usually. So this is a website called github.com, and I'm going to send it to everyone. You can go and create your portfolio. This is basically a place to save code. That's it. It's just nothing more than that. Uh, these are my repositories, for example. There's a couple of learning things that I would have done. There's some courses that I would have done or learned something. It's just mentioned here. And this way, it's very easy to talk about the person and what you have been doing in your free time or in your actual work. I'm not a very active person here, but yeah, that's something that is highly recommended for somebody who's starting the career. Blog posts again, try and write about things, right? For example, I have, did you share my blog post with them, the blog series with them?
Yes, yes. In the time of marketing content, we attached
Okay,
that.
okay. So just I'll just show you guys an example. So this is my blog post, right? And what I've done is when I was studying ML machine learning deployment, I just wrote everything here, and this way it is very nicely documented, and I can show it to in a discussion like this or in an interview that hey, this is what I do, and these are some of the things that I am interested or focused towards, and it gives you an edge over the people who just have CVs, because CVs are more of, we all know this, like copy paste a lot of times and random, which people are finding it hard to justify. So the first step is build a portfolio. The second question that comes is, how do I go in building the portfolio? ये तो तुमने बता दिया कि this is do this, but how? And this is where I see a lot of students finding themselves at a point where they don't have an answer. There is just a lot of directions. Now, if you go and Google this keyword data science roadmap, you will find so many images that you'll be lost. I am not calling any of them as wrong. They are all absolutely brilliant roadmaps. The challenge is people get lost in picking and selecting and sorting and mixing and matching. Whilst what they can just do is pick one and complete. That's the very basic thing which I'm probably suggesting. So if you see this data science, programming, extraction, business, machine learning, stats, data engineering, this is amazingly detailed. This is by Free Code Camp, I believe. This is brilliant. You could check their website and think about it. There's more, right? There's more like these, and you could find tons of images. I mean, Chandrasekharan is brilliant. He has also documented very, very nicely what are the different roadmaps. Then this is by somebody who's called as Data Professor on YouTube, and I watch his videos a lot. The key point is that all of these are great and correct. As a student, pick one. Don't go on back and forth, ratings, different videos. Pick one and end it. Don't get lost in the whole thought of this is not good, there are better. This is not good, there are better. This is Python is not solving, R is probably easier. However hard that roadmap might look like or difficult might look like, finish it. Only then pick the next one. That's the core idea which I'm trying to tell you. I'm not giving you a roadmap. Instead, I'm telling you that there are a lot of roadmaps. Pick any. There's a lot of YouTubers like Krish Nayak is amazingly popular and does brilliant YouTube series. You could take a lot of these training institute. Their courses are very structured. If you're finding also that at a point you're tried a lot of them and it's not working, highly suggest that you invest in a formalized training so that you can learn it in a structured way and there's monitoring and guidance and mentoring given. Because sometimes following these roadmaps independently could be very, very challenging simply because there's just too much information and there's no way to validate. So, highly recommended that you start with one and just go about it. Now, finally, let's take some questions at this stage, right? Let's take this question. So Rahul had a question like, how to get hired as a data scientist in top MNCs? I would say break this into chunks. First, learn data science. Formulate a good profile. If you have a good extensive understanding of your of data science, of the type of questions that these organizations ask and the ask that these companies have of data science, you could easily target them. One way to know what they are trying to expect from a data scientist is just go and look for job descriptions that Google has. You'll be very easily able to understand what they are asking of data scientists, which you will very quickly understand is the same thing that everybody else does. However, things will be much more fundamental, much more deeper, and much more exhaustive at all of these large MNCs. At the same time, I would suggest don't be overly infatuated by the fact that there are large organizations. At early in your career, look for good problems to solve and look for organizations that could give you a challenge in terms of learning instead of just large structure. Not by any means counting that the other approach is not good. Right. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in the sense of getting hired. So Any questions from anyone? Anybody who wants to unmute themselves and just
So we'll just take a poll, like how many of are active. Uh, yeah. So guys, there is a question on your screen once again. Answer yes. So we just wanted to know like how many are actually there with us out of all 60 members.
yeah. Let's see that. That's a good point. Okay, there's at least one person who's lost in the middle.
So might be like you you just missed some topic, or if you have any queries, just put it on the chat option. Yeah.
So there's like 26 people only. The rest of the people are lost, I think. Okay. Rahul is asking which is the best course for data science. Unfortunately, I do not believe in the idea of a best course as such. I think all of the courses are good, whatever could work for you. Uh, I've looked at a lot of institutes that are good. You could find some free ones in Coursera. You could go to the popular ones. You could look for distance education from international universities. There's a lot of partnerships coming from IITs, IIMs, IISCs. A lot of independent institutes are coming up who are giving a mentor-based approach, which I really like. These guys do it like I think Skill High does it, and
Yes.
you.
So we generally follow the blended model of learning, like both the concept, recorded content, and the live sessions. Yes. It's a blended model where
So
we wanted to keep them motivated of completing end-to-end points, as you mentioned it earlier. Yeah.
correct. So yeah, that's pretty much the answer, Rahul. Unfortunately, I don't have a straight answer. Now, to all those people who are present here, I also would want to probably chip in. Just give me a second, uh, and I'll want to pitch in something to you guys. So, best free YouTube channels for learning programs. Oh God. Again, very
So
difficult.
yeah. So as far as like it depends upon some few of the lot of other platforms are providing the basic programming courses and all the structured content for free in the YouTube. You can explore like if you want any kind of programming list of language and the YouTube channel names, we will kindly email you after this session. Then that would be definitely helping you. Yeah.
Correct. And just to add to this, so what I've done is I've pasted a link to a YouTube channel. This is personally mine. The intent is not to advertise it because I'm actually not for data science trainings. I'm not doing that in general. But I would highly suggest you guys go there, take a look, and see if you like something, right? That's the first part. The second part is I'm actually also looking for people who could work with me in the way of having an intern towards helping me work with YouTube and all of that. So if any of you are interested, probably drop me a note.
So guys, it's a wonderful opportunity for you. You guys are like both into technical and as well as you are carrying basic very good communication skills. You would definitely share your interest with me or in the WhatsApp, so that
Yeah.
we will definitely look into your profile. The profile matching with the required skill set. Definitely, we will take it forward, and you will be working with Akash, sir. Yeah.
So should I give them my email ID or what do I do?
Yeah, we would be taking it for careers@skillhigh.com, and then I will be filtering out the profiles.
Done. Done. So please reach out to him and you can you'll be able to do that. So yeah, that's something I wanted to mention. Now let's move forward with the content. However, one more closing point to the YouTube discussion. See, uh, it's very important to find a trainer or a person whom you understand. For example, and I've been in a lot of such trainings. Thank you, Geeta. Thank you, Saurav. Just reach out to him and we'll find a way to reach out to you. I don't want to give my number or email ID right here. You can find me on LinkedIn and ping me, and I'll know you are motivated equally good.
Yes.
But an answer to that is, see, I have been in a lot of personal trainings where I've just found the trainer to be boring. even if the content is good. Sometimes I've just slept through trainings, personally speaking. And this happens to all of us, right? Sometimes it's not about the quality of the content, it's about finding a good tune with the person who's talking. Maybe my voice is not good. Maybe you don't like my face. I don't know. And with free courses, you're not worried on any of that. So in YouTube, just search for the content, which is why it's very difficult to formulate a training course. You could formulate a training course yourself, or just go and enroll in something which is more structured. Either approach works, hybrid works. I've seen some people actually doing courses. In fact, I have done a course from IGNU 2017, and then watching YouTube videos, because the curriculum gave me a base understanding, and then again I was reinforcing it. Any approach can work if you are keen. All right. So that's probably it on that part. Please feel free to shoot in the questions and we'll talk about it later. This is the whole AI life cycle, right? What we do here is you prepare a data, and this is the part which some of you might have seen, some of you might not have seen. Then most of you are probably Jupyter Notebook and creating a machine learning model. And what do you do that? Actually, if you see the number of steps out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have probably only looked at 3 steps so far in your experience. And this is with most of the people. If you have done beyond, brilliant. So prepare, experiment, and deploy. So prepare is where you get the data, where you kind of work and identify your sources, do the data processing and pipelines. And then you do experiment, right? Using a Jupyter notebook or training and testing the model and whatnot. Then you deploy the model as registering and managing your model, which is to say that save it as a pickle file or save it in some form. Then you create an image of the model, some sort of a container, Docker image. Then you finally deploy it as a web service. So there's a lot of different areas that happens. And if you see at this image, this is where a lot of your answers could come in. This side is a lot of data engineering. Between this is a lot of algorithm, the core data science stuff. The right hand side is a little bit of full stack and MLOps. That's how I think of it. And that's probably tying back to the question that I think somebody, most likely Rahul, asked in the beginning. Hey, Rahul, yeah, you can send your CV or resumes to career@skillhigh.com. Definitely helpful. So that's the end-to-end view. Now, what do we look as a recruiter? I have hired too many people. Probably in the last 2 years, I would have probably taken more than 500 interviews, and a large chunk of that would be freshers. Few very, very key things. The first thing I will say is please do focus on your attitude. Don't go in an interview if you are a college, or this applies to everyone actually, but for some reason it is overly stated for people in college, but it actually is generic one. Please be humble in an interview. Keep a check on your attitude. Don't get into an interview sounding all cocky and saying, I know deep learning, I have known these neural networks, I have learned these techniques, I know AI, blah, blah, blah. I've done these Kaggle competitions, I know these domains. That should not be the way you should approach your interviews. Find a very right attitude and an introduction point. Start with a story, because most of the time the first 2 minutes gets to decide whether you will be selected or not. The rest is just an elimination process. If people have liked you in the first 2 3 minutes, they would definitely want to talk to you more. If you have a story to tell, they'll want to take a deeper interest. If you have a project or a portfolio, they'll be further deeply interested. But if you just go in an interview and sounding a know-all, there's a high chance that people might just not want to talk to you, because there have been people who are interviewing have been doing this for long, and for us, uh, attitude trumps skill. If you ask me, if I have to hire for my organization, attitude trumps skill for a fresher. Definitely, that's given. You're not expected to solve rockety problems or create best in class models. It's okay to say no to an answer to a question you don't know about. Don't second guesses. It's absolutely okay to ask questions to the interviewer back. Hey, sir, can you please repeat me? I did not understand the question. Or you could just reframe your understanding and ask that, did you mean this? That gives a very positive impression about yourself that you are paying attention and you're just revalidating that. Now that's the first cut. Once you are through with that, be absolutely clear with your core. And core for a data science is basics programming, math, statistics, probability, simpler stuff that you would have probably studied in class 12th or first year or second year, things like that. Nobody asks you any deep questions in the first 5-10 minutes unless they have found you interesting already. So be clear with core programming, core data structures, core maths and statistics. Algorithms are important at all levels. If you have a good understanding of algorithms, how to search, how to sort, even a basic one at it, that's brilliant. Nobody is asking your hacker rank. However, if you have cheated your way into hacker rank, and I know a lot of people who have done that, say that I have rated 5 by 5 on 20 different things, and there's a question given to you like a prime number and you fail, mm, high probability that you'll not be shortlisted, even if you have answered a couple of other things. Keep your SQL, which is working with data basics, good. And that's pretty much what we look for any profile related to data science or in general any role. A general understanding of end to end like this goes a long way because what you have been able to understand is what is this world all about, and as nicely you can give the story, the better it is. And that's pretty much the core of the content that I wanted to cover. Definitely thankful to you. Really liked you, some of you guys interacting and talking and asking questions. Feel
So
free to shoot more questions.
yeah,
So I'll probably just stop screen sharing and just come on video if that's
yeah.
okay.
So I will be a little bit talking about skill high and then moving to the questions part, just for a couple of minutes. And guys, I will be sharing my screen now, so you
Yeah,
can
I would highly recommend and ask folks to not just drop off because this could be relevant to what you guys are looking for. It's highly
Yes,
possible that could help you guys. So just wait for a few minutes,
yes,
listen to him, and then we could just go to Q&A.
sure. Thank you. So, guys, we at Skill High generally, a lot of online learning platforms are there, but still, as said earlier, there are a lot of things that we miss in the online learning platforms, like kind of doubt clearance sessions or kind of live project implementation sessions. Even though they are there are a lot of live, purely live or purely recorded. So that what makes that doesn't making a student affordable towards learning to these days. There are a lot of live sessions, yes, but still the price was very high. So what we have made is we have came up with a platform called Skill High, and here we are actually having blended learning model where we have having around 400 plus hours of curated content, especially made something like this. Look into this part, like we have this content called machine learning specialization, where you will be getting into the 4 to 5 courses in series, starting from the basics from zero and now entering into the mathematical part of it, which is required for data science and statistics. And then you are entering into the beginning and basic levels of machine learning algorithms. Then in the course 4, you will be entering into the something called KNN, natural language processing, KNN, and etc., which are advanced level of machine learning algorithms. And there are a lot of other algorithms also, but they all comes during the live sessions, not the recorded videos. So because we wanted you to try first, then only engage in the community. So it's both the combination of self-interest and as well as the extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. So now we're also covering something like everything that comes Python, data science, maths, algorithms, and also data structures and algorithms. If you can see in the about thing, course 5 is totally data structures and algorithms. Irrespective of any department, irrespective of anything that you are going to see, you need this, right? So every course, so like this, we have made curated specializations for about 3 departments. One is full stack web development, Android application development, and also machine learning engineer. So today we are going to talk about machine learning. So I was showing you that kind of detailed syllabus and curriculum. You can go download it in the website. But what are the benefits of taking a membership with us? Is it's a yearly membership, same like Netflix and Prime, where you pay for once in a year and access to unlimited courses. And we are going on to keep adding one every one new course every month during this total year. And every course comes up with its own dedicated forum and live doubt clearance as well as live project implementation sessions, and each course has its own completion certification. At the same time, you can see all the other courses what are available on the platform and many more. So all this, like, we kept in mind these companies names, but all the companies who are mass recruiters, and at the same time the product development companies who recruits in the smaller ratio. We made our curriculum which actually makes you to fit into the job roles, starting from aptitude, English speaking skills, communication skills, and then improving your programming skills, etc. So that is where you can see all the specializations, guys. I don't want to take much of the time. And most importantly, this is not something like pay for each course like 3,000, 4,000 rupees, not something like that. We are in a kind of very base price, that is only 14.99 per year. It's a kind of membership fee. That's all you can access anything. So in the upcoming days we are coming up with a few kind of things called like the features in our platform, which where you can apply for internships and jobs directly from the portal. This will be given access only to the who have taken our membership. And also we are coming up with a future called clubs. These are the virtual clubs, entrepreneurship club, and and also technical and coding club, career guidance club, English speaking and communication skills club. So these are the 4 things actually you actually need to be developed in your 4 years of career or 3 years of your career, so that it improves your cognitive thinking skills as well as problem solving skills, and also the communication skills. So all these clubs are having their own rooms. We will be hosting a kind of similar type of rooms where you can join, you can participate in the community and do a lot of things. So this is a simple thing, like I just completed in a very fast forward way, but you can still go to the site and explore our membership. Yeah, over to Akash. Thank you, Akash.
Thank you, guys. Feel free to shoot question, guys. I can hang on a little longer. I don't have a time constraint. So shoot questions if you want in the chat, or just unmute yourself and we can talk about it.
So this is a question again, like what? Please give me a path for career in machine learning. I think we have already answered this, but we just need to recap this once again, like starting
Sure.
from
I'll,
max
I'll, I'll
programming.
do that. I'll do that. So here's what I was trying to tell you guys. A career in machine learning involves understanding of a lot of different areas, right? And you might not be able to master all, right? You might want to target one or two specializations, like actually learning about algorithms or doing ML ops or doing data engineering like ETL and SQL and all of that. So I would highly recommend that you invest in understanding a curriculum for yourself, not a curriculum which you can follow, which I say, and I can give you that go follow. For example, Code Hire, which is a brilliant free open source organization which teaches a lot of coding. I mean, they're a not profit and all. So you could do that, or alternatively, you could just look at what areas you seem to be interested in and mix and match your course. Definitely speaking, find a mentor. It's always a good idea to find a course which is mentor driven, because trust me, there's no shortcuts. While we are talking now, I assure you, if you guys are not following a roadmap and not actually getting onto a curve and a track, we could have the same discussion again after an year. You need to follow that, and it will take anywhere between 6 months to a year to gain an understanding and start doing these stuff. So as far as the roadmap goes, there's many out there. Pick one. If you like it, finish it till the end.
So guys, after the end of this session, you will be getting to see a feedback form which you definitely need to fill and submit it. So then only we will consider that you have attended the session. And yeah, so make sure to fill and submit the form. It also helps us to improve in the future sessions.
Correct. Yeah, and absolutely, absolutely do that. So if you are somebody who's sending me a LinkedIn request, please make sure to include a note that you were there in a skill high session and you want to talk about this or talk about the internship or whatever, so that I can actually narrate it. Otherwise, it's very difficult for me to sort through my LinkedIn. I get too many requests.
Can you please show your LinkedIn profile on the screen so that they will be it will be easy for them to recollect or see once again.
Sure, sure. That's very easily doable. So this is my LinkedIn profile. This is how I should look. I always use the same picture. This is the picture you should see. And it's just my name, Akash Verma. So you should be able to easily find that. No problems. There, I've also posted a channel link and all of that, the YouTube channel link and all of that in the chat. Go and check it out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Any more questions from anyone coming in? All right, I don't think so. Going second. All right, if not, then we are good, right? We can disconnect.
Oh, one second, one second. Yeah. Let me- This is the last poll. Uh,
Oh, that's the attendance poll. Okay.
yes. So guys, just answer that one and we'll get all your data in one spreadsheet. So yeah, this is one of the example for data set.
Right.
So the only the one who have been here, so we can come to know their length amount when they have entered the session and when they have no went out of the session and how many pauses they have taken and everything. So yeah, this will be open for just 30 more seconds, guys.
The coach looks actually nice. Some of these.
As many of them are asking for a kind of recognition as a certificate of participation or something, yeah, we will definitely plan for that. But in order to plan for that, you just need to mark your attendance first. So make sure to participate in the form, the poll.
So, okay. While these certificates, I highly encourage that you give them. I would tell you guys, these are absolutely useless.
Yes,
Not in
yes.
the form of that I'm demeaning skill high in any way. What might be more valuable is actually do a course from somewhere and then get a certificate. You're just listening to career counseling. This probably does not have any industry recognition. Focus on what I've talked, and that could just leave a deeper impact.
So guys, actually there is a offer rolling out now. That is, you can absolutely get a flat 200 off on the membership fee. You can register by the end of the day and complete your membership process. As soon as you on board from as a membership member, then definitely you are going to get access to all 15 plus technical courses in the platform, and at the same time you will be notified with the live sessions and doubt clearance sessions. So yeah, Akash sir, you are getting greeting messages. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, guys. Make sure if you're interested in what I've talked about, the internship, do connect me on LinkedIn, drop your CV to these guys, and have a wonderful day. Keep learning. Hope to
Yeah.
see you sometime again.
Last question, Akash sir, forgot to ask. Like, Yeah. So once, can you please tell them like responsibilities and skills you are looking in the CV or resume?
Sure. Rahul, don't follow. I will not get to know it. Just drop me a connection request and put in a note. What am I looking for? There's a little bit of content writing involved. There's a little bit of video editing involved, or just working with me to create video. There's a little bit of digital marketing involved, which is like keeping hand. I have a lot of social handles. So
It's something similar to technical content management, technical.
It's absolutely that. It's not like writing ads and all that. No, it's pure technical content. I'll tell you what to write, how to write, handling social media, handling some events and all. What you get in return, very simply, is I'll spend time with you personally, definitely. You will get mentoring and teaching free of cost. Plus, you'll be paid for it a little bit, as much as I can afford. Plus, there are more perks that we could talk about. But do buzz me if you are only up for doing with a little bit of all, because it's not just technical, it's digital marketing, it's a little bit of social media handling. I basically need someone to work with me as such because of the few things that I'm doing. So, yeah, those are the skills. It would be great if you are somebody in the third year or final year, preferably, though I have no reservations for people in first year and second year. Departments are also fine. Any department is fine if you have a little bit of understanding of IT and technology. Nothing like Python or ML is required. It's not like I'm going to ask you to code or something. Good English communication definitely helps. And yeah, that's all it is. There's nothing more than that.
Yes. Thank you, Akash. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thanks,
And
guys. Thank you so much for listening to me for almost an hour.
yeah,
I don't know if I was good or not, but hoping to improve future. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good
yeah,
day.
thank you. Thanks for taking your time and coming with a self-interest to host this session. A lot of times it's very tough challenge for us to find out mentors like you. Sometimes nowadays,
No
after in the COVID
problem,
sessions,
Akshay. So
yes,
as long as you can find the same set of people, I'll come back again for free. Yeah. I would want to make sure that please do understand, guys. I have no form of relationship with these guys. It is just that
yes,
I found that Akshay is so there's not like a marketed and paid stuff. Uh, I have
it's
in
about
between
all
it's
about
private and
self-interest
volunteer.
and wanting to
Yeah.
share some knowledge with all of you. Yeah.
Even the slides that you saw, they are all mine. There's everything was there, and I'm really thankful to them for somehow finding me 60 plus people to talk to. It's really always good to talk to young people. And you really appreciate everyone who has taken the courage to ask questions. Keep doing this. This ability of yours will take you places, trust me.
So, guys, winding up the session and have a great ending. And don't
Yep,
forget to give a feedback.
yep guys, bye bye.